They have a mannequin ass. As soon as they showed his face, I was like, I don't like this guy at all.
If he was a Kamen Rider, would his name be Kamen Rider Hauser?
Jin shooting the tentacle into her. So she gets caught up on what's going on.
Like,
And then we
that.
A beautiful explosion force like this podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Kamen Up Next podcast. We're here live directly from Futo City. I'm here. You stopped being invisible. Leave this part in. I'm here with my co-host Jesse
Hey,
and Nick.
hello.
Hey, and we're here today to talk to you about Kamen Rider 01 episodes.
Yeah, you.
You specifically. You know who you are.
Jared.
About episodes 24 to 27. We're Kamen Rider double themed today, but we're talking about Kamen Rider 01, so don't get confused.
We just like double. What can I say?
I'm a simple man. I see green and black, I click like.
Episode 24 is titled It's Our Turn Now. And we're picking up on the second part of the two-parter. So last episode we left off after the fake wedding, which went awry and ended with Metal Cluster Hopper putting Thouser on the ropes and at the same time defeating the Raider and the Magia of the week. So Metal Cluster Hopper has Thouser on the ropes, pushes him back. He unleashes a Buster Bomber with the Mammoth Key, which Thouser jacks before being overwhelmed by the attack anyway and being blown back.
True.
And Aruto's basically still berserk because he still doesn't have control over this form. And Enji, the actor Humagir who was officiating the fake wedding, steps in and tries to reason with Aruto to make him get a hold of himself. However, he seemingly gets infected with the ARC virus.
Gets hacked.
Seemingly. For an instant, his eyes go red like Humagirs do before they go berserk. And while this is happening, Thouser kind of gets up on his knees and he still has a trick up his sleeve. So he tells ARC through Zero, like that's currently in control of 01 to not get too ahead of itself. He gets up and channels through his 1000 Jacker the collective force of all the powers that he's jacked so far. And summons like CGI images of like all the different powers that he's jacked.
He just jacks all those animals.
Brings them all
right onto
into the fray.
Aruto.
He shot all the loads that he jacked so far.
He shot all the
onto
animal
Aruto.
loads onto Aruto.
Slams Metal Cluster Hopper with all of that juice. And that's a lot of powers.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
So Metal Cluster finally goes down. Aruto dehensions. And Guy dehensions and casually walks up to a collapsed Aruto and tells Aruto that Humagirs will be his undoing just as Aruto passes out. And then Guy walks away. And as he walks away, Enji runs after him, tells him, wait a second, I've been touched by the will of the ARC. And, I want to come along with you. Guy's intrigued and has Enji join him. And they walk off together.
Into the sunset.
Into the sunset, all happy like.
Happy.
Then we then cut to Aruto, who's in the hospital, and we find out that he's been knocked out for 3 days after the fight. He wakes up from his injuries and starts, for the first time, kind of doubting himself and his belief in Humagirs a little. Because he gets up and his first words are like, oh, I better get back to work. We don't know when the next Humagir is going to go berserk. And then Izu's just kind of like, for a second, is that really the way you think? He's like, oh, can't believe I just said that.
Whoops.
And at that moment, yeah, it kind of feels bad, right?
Yeah.
At that moment, Match comes in and he's restored now. He was defeated in the last episode, but he's restored from his backup and delivers the news that actually we kind of expected this, but
you could infer by what happened at the end of the previous episode. But he's like, oh, I went berserk on purpose.
Yeah, he went berserk on purpose just to get Ebi and Nikaido together, because when he analyzed Nikaido, he actually figured out that they were a best match. But even with his intent to only be pretending to go berserk, Arc still did a number on him, and they remark on how powerful Arc actually is. And then hearing this, Izu decides to take matters into her own hands. She takes the metal cluster key and the 01 driver and asks Aruto to believe in the Humagear, and then kind of walks out of the hospital room. She steps out into the hallway and contacts all Humagears, at least all the Humagears that we've met up until this point in the show, and says that they're going to set their plan into motion. Then we get some Fua and Hirobi interview action, which I honestly don't even remember what they talked about there. It wasn't really all that relevant. And then we just kind of...
I think it was just more of like, who's the person working with you? And Hirobi's like, I don't know, for like the 17th time.
Yeah, it was just more of the same, really.
Yeah.
And then we skip to Enji and Guy. And Enji basically tells Guy that he'll listen to him for the sake of the arc and will agree to work to bring down Hedon by hacking them from the inside. And then immediately in the next scene, we see the astronaut Humagear Subaru, which we haven't seen in a while, and the carpenter Humagear from the previous episodes. And they're like in this building. Turns out they're breaking into the Daybreak Town, Metsubo Jinrai layer, mannequin ass area.
Specifically the mannequin ass area.
Mannequin ass headquarters.
That's it. They plug into the ARC terminal and they extract the Hedon metal cluster data from there and transfer it to Izu. Izu then, with all of that malicious data from ARC, basically contacts all the Humagear and says, okay, to counteract that data, they need like goodwill data from all the Humagear to overcome it. So she sends out a plea to all the Humagear that we've seen up until this point. It's actually a pretty cool montage of like all the Humagear that we've encountered, like from episodes 1 to 23 up until this point. And we even see my boy Assassin Chan for a second.
I was gonna say we also see Enji in there, which was confusing to me because he's at this point betrayed them.
But do we actually see Enji's progress key?
I remember him being there, and I was confused.
Interesting. That's foreshadowing. Anyway, they shoot over all their goodwill data using their own like Humagear progress keys to Izu, right? Who then pumps that data into the Zaya printer, and it looks like Zaya is about to print like a new bladed weapon that's going to be used by 01. We find out that how did, the Carpenter, Humagear, and Subaru know where to go exactly? Well, Guy confronts Enji, all pissed, and it turns out that he was played by the actor Humagear.
He was acting hacked.
He was never actually taken over by ARC.
Yeah.
And, I actually really didn't like Enji up until this point, but when like he confidently just stands up to Guy and says, I'm an actor. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked him in this scene.
That was awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Guy gets absolutely pissed, and he Zetsume rises Enji to make him go berserk so he can kill him. And I think the reason that he does that and doesn't straight up kill him is because I think it's plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Because you could just say, oh, it went berserk, and so I had to kill it.
Oops, I killed him.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, like, killing him doesn't do that much because they can just back him up and make a new one.
Yeah, but he's pissed and he wants to blow him up.
He's just pissed.
I know.
But also, like, Enji has the recording, doesn't he, of, like, what's happening? Like, when he gets restored from the backup, you can see Guy, like, hitting him with the Zetsume riser, and that would hold up in court. But anyway, I don't know.
Pretty sure Guy's done it in front of Aruto before at, like,
Aruto and Izu,
on. And, he doesn't care. He just, like...
It's definitely a bit of a plot hole, for sure.
Well, I think it's kind of like, well... It's still like a flaw in their system that I can just do that to them and then they go berserk.
I guess so, yeah.
Anyway, so Enji goes berserk. He turns into a Magia and, Thouser takes him on. Back at the hospital, Aruto gets informed of the Enji situation and basically runs out to go save him. But at this point, he doesn't have a driver and he doesn't have any ability to go 0-1.
He can't transform at all.
We also see after Aruto dashes out, Izu's in the arc printer room and she finished printing our new bladed weapon, which is the Progrise Hopper Blade. And so Thouser's beating up Enji. Aruto comes in to stop him with no gear and obviously can't. He just gets punched away. Izu shows up and hands Aruto the 0-1 driver and the metal cluster key. And Aruto kind of hesitates for a second, looking at it like, oh, should I really do this? But Izu tells him to henshin and fight and to believe in the human gear when he does so. So he henshins into Metal Cluster Hopper, and this time when he presses the button for the Progrise key, it says a really subtle difference. Everybody jump. And things are starting to look the same, though. He's still looking kind of berserk with his head tilted. And
He's definitely starts going berserk.
Before he can actually go crazy, Izu kind of dives in and hands him the Progrise Hopper Blade, which immediately, as he grabs hold of it, starts to purify the malice around Aruto, like when he's linked up to Arc. And then kind of shoots him and beams him back up into Zaya.
Reconnects him to Zaya. I just want to say,
yeah,
is it just me that thinks the sword or the blade, it looks like the Thousand Jacker? Like it's the same shape as the Thousand Jacker, just without the pulley part.
I felt like it kind of looked like the attaché caliber because when he like docks the attaché caliber, like the original one, into the Progrise blade, they kind of look symmetric.
The Thousand Jacker is more round, kind of lance-like, in my opinion.
But isn't the Progrise jumper blade also like that? I thought when I saw it for the first time that it looked a lot like the Thousand Jacker. The attaché, the thing is that it's just like it's square.
You know what?
Like
you know what?
Square.
You know what the Progrise Hopper Blade looks like? It looks like this sword could be in Saber, and I wouldn't question it.
We're gonna have to put an image of it,
like,
up on the screen.
Put a comparison between it and
the Thousand Jacker.
And the Thousand Jacker.
And every single sword from Saber.
No, that's too many.
There's like 7 million.
Not doing that.
No.
But basically, when that happens, all the locusts kind of leave Aruto, and it looks like for a second we were all looking at it like, oh, he's getting a whole new form now. Because like they leave and then they start coming back, and it's like a new henshin sequence, but it's not, and it's just like the same.
It's just the same.
Yeah,
it's the same form, but now Aruto's in control.
I think they left and like imprinted the metal grasshopper on the blade, and then went back to Aruto and looked the same.
Yeah, the blade has like a trigger on it, and when he presses it, like the grasshopper kind of jumps a little bit.
Yeah,
on the
it looks
blade.
like he's hopping. Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
I think it was more of like a figurative like thing where they like left him and came back and he was like a new form, even though it looked the same. It was more of like a figurative thing than an actual new form.
Yeah,
and I'm cool with it. It looks great.
It looks absolutely terrific.
Absolutely.
I love
and
that
what's
he can
even
control
better,
it.
Yeah, he can control it, and he can take the locusts and like instantiate them on the blade.
Oh yeah, it looks so cool.
And they kind of spike out of the blade, and I think that's really awesome too.
Which makes sense because we've already seen him use them as like walls to block attacks and stuff. So it makes perfect sense that he could nanobot them into spikes and blades and stuff and attack people with it.
Yeah,
it's kind of like an extension of the Shine system.
Kind of, yeah.
Like a little bit. Like a
It
little
is.
more
Like
versatile.
a physical version.
Yeah.
Instead of light.
Instead of like
version.
hard light, yeah.
Pretty cool if you could use both at the same time, but
Shining metal cluster
shining
hopper.
metal cluster, yeah.
Ooh.
I was gonna say shining metal cluster would be cool.
I like that idea. Devs,
Hello, Toei.
Toei, please
got
make
an
shining metal
idea.
cluster hopper, please. I beg of you.
But even like regular metal cluster hopper in the hands of Aruto's control kicks Thouser's ass.
Oh god.
Especially with the Progrise Hopper blade.
Oh yeah.
And he uses his finisher, the Progrising Strash.
Yeah. Strash.
I think in order to do that, he docks his regular attaché caliber into like the bottom of the Progrising Hopper blade, and it just becomes like this dual blade thing. And then
he made like a dual lightsaber, but it's physical.
Is that a Qatar, or am I thinking of something else?
You're right. It is some sort of like it is. There's a name for that type of weapon where you've got like.
No, okay. Qatar is like a claw. What am I
There's definitely a name for that type of weapon.
I am in the World Library or Gaia Library.
Yeah.
I gotta look this up.
Do a lookup.
Gotta do a lookup.
So anyway, he unleashes his finisher on Thouser, which would most definitely destroy him. But Thouser actually, asshole that he is, pulls Engie into the way to take the attack. And that's when we find out that actually the Progrise Hopper Blade has the ability to restore Berserk Humagear back to their normal forms, because Engie just kind of goes back to normal after
Yeah.
he's hit by the blade.
He can reprogram the bugsters.
And then my favorite part of the episode, Guy's like pissed that Engie wasn't actually destroyed, and he's like, "What did you do there? I don't get it." And then Aruto's like, "Oh yeah, you don't understand? I don't either."
Neither do I.
Oh, you don't get it, do you? You don't get me either. I forgot about that.
Oh my god, I love Aruto.
That
Also-
pissed off Guy so much.
I loved seeing him just get fucking wrecked and de-henching, and his clothes are all torn up.
Yeah,
And
he was
he
completely
limps away.
defeated.
I love it.
But finally, Aruto defeats Dowser. Guy limps away all defeated and says, "I'll get you next time." And the last scene actually in this episode is Fuwa walks back into the Ames, like holding detention center, and Hirobi's gone. His shackles undone and on the ground, and he's missing.
Orobi missing is
The robes is
the
gone.
note that I have.
I don't have very many notes for this episode, but what Jesse said was interesting. I actually didn't notice that like Engie was in the Humagear montage when they were like
I didn't notice
I'm
that
like-
either.
I'm like 90% sure you.
either that's like an oversight or it is actual foreshadowing where
If
they
it-
intended.
If it's there, put it up right now. If not, just add Jesse's face in instead. All right.
Did you guys have anything else to say for episode 24, or do we jump to episode 25?
No, episode 24 was pretty straightforward, I think.
Mm-hmm. So episode 25 is also like really quick to go through. It's called "I'll Save the Humagears," and I will say that most of this episode is like info dump / recap of the overarching story, but with like peppering in some new bits. And in the beginning of it, like stuff that is worth talking about is that it opens up with Izu's not feeling well. She has like a cold compress on her head.
She's talking into a fan.
Talking into a fan. She's got that cold compress on her head, and she's feeling weird because she can't connect to Zaya. So Aruto's terrible at diagnosing Humagear and thinks that Izu has a cold. Starts like recommending like cold remedies and stuff.
Until he's like, wait a second.
Checking her temperature and stuff. But thankfully, there's a Professor Humagear named Bot, Hakase Bot, that's there to help out. And he's just kind of like looking around, and he finds that there's actually a signal jammer in the room that was causing the problem that was preventing her connection to Zaya. So someone must have planted it there.
In the secret lab, specifically.
Right after that, we catch, like right before the opening, we catch a glimpse of a Kamen Rider like on the roof of the building that kind of looks like Jin, with like the wings like poking out. So it kind of like tells us, oh, hey, maybe he's responsible.
This mysterious Kamen Rider is probably responsible.
So after the opening, the Professor Humagear bot works to dismantle the jammer, and our protagonists are starting to wonder who might be responsible for putting it there in the first place. And as they're pondering that, Fuwa walks in, and he says, "I think I know who it might be." And he thinks it might be Hirobi, because Hirobi escaped Ames custody recently. Someone broke him out. And the Professor Humagear kind of jumps into the conversation and says, "Hey, it must have been metsubojinrai.net." And we get like a whole info dump by the professor who says that he made Hirobi 12 years ago, and Hirobi was a...
Yeah, he starts going into like father type Humagears, like the one that Aruto had. His father was a Humagear, and we get like this big lore dump of that.
Yeah, I thought it was cool that Hirobi was a father type Humagear, and then he was like telling Jin way back when that he was his father.
Yeah.
So it's like part of that designation still sticks with him, even though he's been taken over by the Ark.
Yes.
It like makes sense now, like the way he was
Mhm.
behaving.
Mm-hmm.
But the professor goes on to just kind of like do some more lore dumping on us and telling us that, you know,
A lot of info dumps.
Yeah, like giving us the recap of Daybreak, what happened. It
Mhm.
spawned Metsubo Jinrai, which was composed of the four smartest hacked Humagear at the time. Aruto's dad came up with the Kamen Rider tech to counteract Arc. And
Yes.
actually, now that I think of it, I guess Aruto's dad was also a father type Humagear like Hirobi, so that might be like a
Mhm.
connection between them. So
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe
I just said that. That's okay.
Did
Father
you?
types are
Yep.
powerful.
No,
Yeah.
I did say that. Also,
Sweet.
so it brings into question, right? Because he says Aruto's father created the 01 system, and it's the Humagear. Like we don't even know, we don't even see at this point. We just assume that Aruto didn't have any real parents, and his only parent was a Humagear.
Mhm.
So like, to me, it's confusing. I guess it kind of implies that Koronosuke adopted Aruto and then had a
That's
Humagear
possible.
father for him. That's the like literally the only explanation I can
Well-
think of, because he doesn't talk about his like biological parents. He only ever talks about his dad,
I mean, it could be
who
like
was the
a
Humagear.
a Spider-Man situation where his parents like died.
Well,
And
yeah,
then
that's
he
what
had
I guess, like maybe they're blood related. You're
he had
right.
an Uncle Ben
Yeah,
Humagear.
yeah. You're right, but he calls
Ben
him his
Humagear.
dad. I think maybe he was adopted, but like they don't
Yeah,
they don't go
you
into
don't
it.
know.
It's just it feels to me like a loose thread that
But
they
it
just like dangle in front of you.
it actually would make sense kind of if he's adopted because his personality is like kind of like the same, like different in ways than
It's
his,
different,
what
but
we
also
presume. We don't really know
ultimately
his
the
family,
same,
but
right? Because they
yeah.
both love Humagears. Like
But he was
have
raised
those.
by them. That's how he was raised.
It's
But also
just
he's got the weird comedian thing.
it's just confusing. It's like not explained, and it's just confusing to me. I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, it is confusing. What's also is confusing, and Izu points it out. She actually asked the professor, like, "How do you know so much about all this stuff?" Because it goes on this whole lore dump, like talking about Arc, talking about like Aruto's dad, like literally everything, like the whole. Even talks about like Zaya and like Thouser and stuff like that. Like he knows about everything.
Yeah.
And Izu asked the professor, "How do you know so much about this stuff? Because it's not in our database." And he's like, "Oh, it's because I built so many Humagears." And then you get kind of like a close up on his mouth, and he does that thing that, like, you know,
That like evil
Mm.
people do.
yeah,
Pretty sus.
it was pretty sus actually.
I also want to point out that Izu was wearing the ice pack on her head the whole time all of this was happening.
Hmm.
She never once took it off.
She even like bent down and
Yeah,
stayed on her
she
head.
bowed. She did everything with this ice pack on her head.
It was
Just so
awesome.
everybody's
Izu's the
aware.
best. I love whenever she does the Arutojo Naito with
Yeah.
Yeah, she's done a lot of really cool stuff. Every time she like mimics Aruto's movements, it's like, oh man, she's learning from Aruto. That's horrible.
Yeah, it's awful.
yeah. I think was it in the last episode when he was finally like in control of Metal Cluster or whatever. Izu was in the background mimicking his movements.
Yeah, when he said the
I
one who's
love
going to
that.
defeat you is me.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
every time he says that and Izu's in the frame, she copies
She's
it.
always I love it. It's the best.
It's like
it's
it's like when you have a younger sibling and they start doing the thing that you do.
it's so cute. I love it.
I have a lot of experience in that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even like Kamen Rider.
True.
So where were we? Oh yeah, Professor
I don't
Humagear was
remember.
being grilled. Professor Humagear was being grilled by Izu, and they ask him, "Well, we need to find Hirobi. Where is he now?" And then he's like, "Oh, don't ask me. You should ask, someone who would know that." And so Fu and Aruto kind of look at each other and like, "Well, that means Guy."
Mm-hmm.
So we show up in the next scene at Guy's car, and Guy rolls down his window, and we ask him, "Hey, where's Hirobi? Tell us where he's at." And Guy doesn't know where Hirobi is, but he basically also kind of info dumps on us that
Yeah.
that he's been backing Ames with weapons, Kamen Riders specifically, to fight Arc because he wants to be in the weapon development business, and his true goal is effectively to to make profits off of dealing in Kamen Rider tech.
Yeah,
to,
Kamen
like,
Riders are
military and
the
stuff.
ultimate weapon, so he wants to profit off of that.
Kind of reminds me of Build a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
Except in Build, they kind of had an excuse where their mind wasn't right after being there at the Skywall incident.
Yeah, they
Guy's
were
just a dick.
they were at war. Yeah, Guy wants to. It's a little worse because Guy legitimately wants to, like, I guess it's not his main goal, but selling weapons is pretty much a good way to incite war. So he's just shitty all around.
Well, I mean, like making Arc evil and causing these problems
Yeah.
to build a market for Kamen Riders is pretty bad.
It's
Guy
it's
is the
fucked up.
worst.
He's pretty
He-
bad.
He might be the scummiest character that we've seen so far
Who's
in the Kamen Rider.
who's a more evil villain, Guy or Evolt?
I think
Evolt.
Guy. I think Guy.
No,
Evolt is just
no.
hungry, man. Evolt is just hungry.
He
He's a
wipes
hungry
out
dude.
whole planets. He just to show off his power, he went to a random planet and destroyed it and ate the whole planet.
Yeah, but that's not like pure evil. Man's
he's-
hungry.
He's
But-
like naturally
but here's-
evil.
but he-
Guy's just a
But
fucking
here's the
dick.
thing. Here's the thing, right? Is that eventually Evolt was like, you know what? Maybe Eden Planets isn't great. I'm gonna spare Earth, even though he was like, I'm gonna come back for
he was
you.
entertained.
He was like,
It's-
yeah, but he's more
But-
reasonable. Guy is just an ass.
Wasn't it also partially because he was in the body of the owner that he kind of rubbed off on him a little bit? Am I just making that up?
I think he like explained it away as that. To,
Like he was like
save
in a
face.
human body and
Yeah.
they were rubbed off. I don't know. Could be
Well,
could be
the
true.
human emotion did seep into him at one point. Not
Yeah.
to get too much into it, but I still think that Guy is worse.
I think so. My logic is that Evolt is an alien. Guy is a human hurting
Okay.
humans.
Can I reorganize my thoughts?
Yeah.
I think Evolt is inherently more evil than Guy. I think Guy is a worse person than Evolt because Evolt is in his nature.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
just his
Yes.
species.
That's
Guy is a dick for no reason.
that's kind of where I'm coming from. Is it's in Evolt's nature to be like that. He's I guess you could say he's inherently evil, but to him
Yeah.
it's not evil. Guy
That's what I'm
is
saying.
just evil.
So it's
like-
worse for Guy because he has no
Yeah,
excuse.
that's
but
what
Evolt
I-
is
That's what I mean. I think Guy is worse than evil.
Yeah, the fact that Guy is human and has emotions and should be able to empathize
Mhm.
makes things worse, whereas Evolt doesn't
Yeah.
for like a large portion of Build. And
Guy's
like,
a sociopath.
yeah, Guy's the worst.
Guy is Guy is a worse version of Dan
Yes.
Kuroto.
Yes, I knew you were gonna say that. Yes.
He is.
He's
You're
a
like,
shittier Dan
absolutely is.
Kuroto.
Like, what if we took Dan Kuroto and took away all the traits
Yeah.
that made him entertaining
That's-
and likable?
That's exactly what it is. Guy has
Yeah.
no redeeming qualities to make him fun to watch. He just sucks. He's
Yeah.
just evil and shitty.
Yeah.
At least Dan Kuroto was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it was
was
so fun.
maniacal. Yeah.
He has
His
all
god
of the
complex
evil.
was
Yeah,
great.
he has all of the evil, none of the
Although,
charisma of Dan Kuroto.
To be fair, Dan Kuroto wasn't that good until he like came back.
Yeah.
As like
Yeah.
he before that he was kind of shitty. Although he started going
Well,
crazy and that was more entertaining.
his slow decline into
Yeah,
madness.
because
yeah.
you saw it
Yeah.
happen. It started when he died and became Dangerous Zombie.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just don't have that with Guy. There's no like descent into being a fun character. He just fucking sucks.
And at this point, I don't want there to be. I want him to just get fucking killed.
Yeah.
I don't like him, and he doesn't
Well, now at
deserve any
least-
redemption.
Now at least we know what he's all about. We know it's clear as day what his motivations are. And this whole episode is basically people declaring their motivations. That's like the whole point of this one.
Yeah.
Because he basically says that, okay, once he acquires Hedon, he wants to turn it into a weapons company too. Everyone's pissed. And at that moment, Zaya contacts Izu and says, hey, there's a suspicious Humagear in Daybreak Town. You guys should head over there to confront it. So our protagonists go off there to deal with that. And on the way there, Aruto and Fua actually talk about their motivations too.
Oh yeah, they're just running.
They're just running and they're like tired. And then they're saying, oh, weren't you pissed off by that? And Fua says, yeah, you know, I'm going to defeat people on my own terms. That's what Kamen Rider Vulcan is. And then Aruto says, yeah, but don't you have a dream? Because like I do this for like to bring smiles to people and to human gears, and that's what Kamen Rider 01 is. So they talk about their motivations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a powerful thing. And then as they're like catching a breath, there's like a horde of like weak Magia, like fodder Magia that comes in.
It does cut to Hirobi at one point, and you see that he's like talking to an army of the less powerful Magia.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like Hirobi is trying to amass an army.
Can I just say that
Mm-hmm.
out of everyone in any Kamen Rider series I've watched, I don't think I've been more disappointed than I currently am in Yaiba.
Yeah.
Like, I know it kind of gets worse in the next few episodes.
It does
Spoilers,
get worse.
but like, just she's still sticking with that motherfucker.
Well, you know, while you're talking about it, actually, that was actually one of my like comments on this episode. Looking back on it and reflecting on it, all of our Kamen Riders, all of our main Kamen Riders reflect on their motivation. So we hear 01 say, "I'm doing this for people's smile." You hear Fua say, "I'm doing this because I want to fight people on my own terms." You even hear freaking Thouser say, "I want to do this because I want to sell military weapons."
Yeah.
You hear Jin later on. We'll get to that. But where the hell is Yaiba in all of this? Nowhere. Baby.
She's just not her own person right now.
Yeah.
And it's
No.
it's actually infuriating.
I'm not even mad. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm fucking disappointed.
It really sucks because Yaiba was so cool, and now
She really was.
she's just Guy's
So.
lapdog, and it sucks. It's infuriating and it sucks.
It does. But what doesn't suck is the action. Because we get that like horde of weak Magia come in.
Mhm.
Aruto turns into Shining Assault Hopper.
Yeah.
Fua turns into Assault Wolf. And we haven't seen Shining Assault Hopper in a while. So it was pretty awesome to see it again.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And they basically split up. Fua leaves the fodder to Aruto because he knows he can handle it. And he wants to go after Hirobi. So they split up. And before they do, Aruto is pretty cool of him too. He actually just throws the attaché buster over to Fua, being like, "Hey, you can take this." He catches it and he goes off to face Hirobi. So he's in Assault Wolf mode. He catches up to Hirobi. And Hirobi's still wearing the straitjacket, which is like weird to me. You would have thought that like Jin would have taken it off of him earlier, but he's still kind of bound up in that straitjacket. He kind of looks back at Fua, and Fua's gonna like arrest him or whatever, and then like a burning like ball just like kind of comes in, looking like a phoenix, and interrupts him. And lo and behold, we see the return of Kamen Rider Jin in all of his glory, in an upgraded form, Burning Falcon.
Super
cool
cool
as hell.
It's clearly just a phoenix.
Yeah, but it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's not even just like a repaint either, because he gets like
Yeah.
a whole different like armor.
His armor is different. Even the helmet is not the same. I think in the original Falcon, it was kind of like the visor was kind of asymmetrical, so it wasn't equal on both sides, and now it is.
So cool.
And it looks amazing. And his driver is different too.
And even when he fans out the wings, they look super cool too. Everything about it.
Yeah. It's a
Absolutely
very, very cool
beautiful
form.
design.
Very cool design.
And when he fights, he's got like flaming punches and kicks every now and then, which is
Yeah.
also pretty badass. So he's really, really cool. And
He got a hell of a power up.
he did, because he kind of beats Assault Wolf's ass.
Yeah.
He went from like kind of super lame, like his first form with the whatever key, the regular
The
Falcon.
Falcon key, yeah.
He was like just boring. He didn't do much. He wasn't that strong. I think he comes in just super badass, just kicks ass.
Yeah.
His henshin sequence is fucking cool. I don't know if we see it in this episode.
I think so.
We don't see it in this episode. I don't think we see it
Oh.
in the next one.
Okay.
Yeah. But he is absolutely really, really. He kind of flies in. He's already henshin. He does de-henshin after he beats Assault Wolf.
Yeah.
And the rest of our protagonists come in, including, the professor from earlier on, and he reveals after he de-henshins that he was the one that actually hacked the Professor Humagear and had him infiltrate Hedon and all that.
They ask Jin, like, how is he alive? Like, what happened? And his response is to reveal that he was the one controlling the Professor Humagear, and he doesn't explain how he got
Oh,
restored.
Didn't he just say that Ark brought him back or something?
No, he didn't even. He straight
yeah.
up is like, "Oh, you want to know?" And then the professor comes in, and there's like this trippy sequence of them saying, "Oh, you want to know?" And that's it. There's zero explanation.
He did say something about like that he evolved or
Yeah,
something.
he has
He's
different
upgraded-
pieces on his ear.
Yeah, because Fua actually at one point was like, "Wait a second, is he human?" Because he has ears, and
Yeah.
he's like, "No, I'm a human gear," and he had like a little like glowy bit on
Yeah,
his
he
ear.
had like a different piece on his ear that wasn't the modules that the normal human gears have. But that's it. We get zero explanation like from where he came from.
And what this new model of human gear is at all, like we
nothing.
don't know.
Nothing.
What we do know is that he reveals his motivations as well. So everyone else did except for Yua, and he does as well. So he says that his motivation is to free the human gear from humanity, basically,
It's
and
actually,
also potentially to get his gun back, which he does.
it kind of feels like he took what Naruto said to heart, kind of when they fought before he died. Like
Mhm.
he realized that the way that Ark was having them do it was like not good for the human gear.
Yeah.
Like they were using the human gear and letting them die or whatever.
He gets
and
into it a
transforming them.
bit in the next episode,
Mm-hmm.
but he starts like at the end of this episode, he's talking to Jin, and Jin is like, "Welcome back," and he gives him back his gun that he gave him the first episode, and Jin's like, "Oh, I'm not joining Metsubojinrai," and it's all ominous.
He
was
he
talking to
does get
Hiromi.
like he does
Sorry.
get like a
Yeah.
whole new swag too, though. Like his
Oh yeah,
his, like
he looks good.
suit and everything is pretty cool.
Yeah, oh yeah. I like his new design, like character
I like
design.
this Jin.
Yeah.
This Jin is definitely
He's-
cool, and
He's less childlike. He still has his laugh when he's fighting, but he doesn't like he's less childlike like overall, I think. He definitely has an
Yes.
air of like growing up and maturing.
He still seems like a little crazy, but definitely not less in a childlike way.
He's eccentric, I think. It's cuz he has like a lot of personality now.
and like obviously he wanted to free Hirobi, like that just makes sense.
Yeah, he
But-
still cares about Hirobi.
Yeah, but
Because
where
he still has reached singularity, right? Like he hasn't gone back, so you have to remember that he's completely reached singularity.
how he feels about Ark at this point, I don't know. He's a wild card right now. He's just out there. He
Yeah.
wants to free human gear, and that's whether that means teaming up with Ark or teaming up with whoever. I think it's going to be up to the situation. It's not going to be necessarily set in stone.
Speaking of Arc, one of the big things that happened towards the end of the episode was that Hirobi connected to Arc again. So he had previously lost his connection when he was rebuilt, and now he's connected again. So that's pretty bad. We don't like.
Jin was kind of like buying time by like revealing all that information so that Hirobi can get down there.
And that's what makes it confusing, right? Is he helped Hirobi have enough time to connect to Arc, and then he's like, "Nah, I'm not joining you though." Actually,
Yeah, but so Hirobi is connected to Arc, but he doesn't have his key.
yeah.
His poison key. No, I don't know if Jin says it at the end of this episode or at the next episode, but he's like, "Let's go get your key back."
It's
So he's still helping.
yeah, it's the beginning of the
Hirobi.
next episode,
That's the next episode, yeah.
But
which we can
That's weird.
jump straight into because they do like connect like almost right away.
Yeah, and we will continue to talk about how Yu has been degraded as a character.
Oh, yeah,
in the
it
future
gets a lot worse in this episode for sure.
So episode 26
Yes.
is called "We Are the Flaming Fire Brigade," and we're back in the jobs competition, baby. We're in the 4th round of the jobs competition. We're just thrown right back into it.
fuck yeah,
And-
jobs competition, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, we took a little pause. Now we're right back. And this time around, it's a firefighter showdown.
It starts off with a commercial for the Zaya spec.
Hell yeah, it
And
does.
my favorite part of it, right, is Guy does his bullshit about the Zaya spec, and then the commercial says that it was presented by Zaya. So the Zaya, I just like, it's so redundant and so opulent in such a Guy fashion that it's like the Zaya commercial is presented by Zaya. Like, yeah, no shit, it's a Zaya product. Like, Why
They
do
got
you
a
have to
real ass
have-
firefighter in their commercial though, because they actually go off to say, "Oh, the guy in the commercial is
That's
going to be
true.
our representative in the showdown," which actually is pretty cool because usually for commercials you hire some just freaking
Yeah, just an
actors to do
actor,
that.
Yeah.
A real ass firefighter in there.
I wanted to say
Mhm.
right now. I just thought of it that I hope at the end when Guy gets beat, I
Mhm.
hope his company or his department, their value goes down 1000%. Just to fucking.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I agree,
Oh.
honestly.
That'd be so poetic. Just
It really would.
Huh.
Here's hoping, man. I honestly hope so.
Me too.
So Zaya's representative in the competition, the firefighter, is called Homura Takeshi. Captain Homura, they call him.
Yeah, okay.
And the Hedon team has a Himigiri firefighter called Ichiichi Nyosuke.
It's the best name of any human gear that's been on the show.
Isn't it Ichichi Kyunosuke?
Yeah, it's
Ichiichi Kyunosuke.
Yeah.
119
Yeah,
Nosuke, yeah.
Yeah.
Ichiichi
119 Nosuke.
Yeah.
Ichichi Kyunosuke. I
It's
like it.
so good. It's so dumb.
And I'm pretty sure also 119 is like 911 in Japan.
Yeah,
So it works on so many fronts.
it's really good. It's a really good name.
So the competition is who can save the most people from a fire. And like before the competition started, I was like, oh shit, are they actually going to set some
Yeah.
building on fire?
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Yeah, but
There was a moment before the competition where Guy said they have 100% chance of winning.
well, actually, so what happened was at the start of the episode, Yua asked Guy about the Jin situation.
Oh,
and Guy
okay.
said, don't worry about that. It's 100% within my expectations.
I only have 100% like written as my notes, so I wasn't quite sure.
But
the
then,
context.
but he for sure did say like they're for sure winning, and then he's like, but just in case things, or he gives Yaiba the Setsume riser or whatever.
She
Yeah, so
And
there's a
then-
couple of things that were weird about that scene,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
First of all, Guy says 100% instead of 1,000% for the Jin situation. And then after that, he just immediately hands Yua the Zetsume riser and says, you know, we're going to take control of this
he
round of the competition.
coerces
Yeah.
Yaiba into
and then
cheating.
Yaiba's like, well, if we're gonna win, why do we need to do that? Once we win, he won't won't be able to henshin. He's like, just do it.
Just
But
more-
also, I guess him saying 100% means he's not actually 100% like expecting that, right?
yeah,
Because if he was 100% expecting that for real, he would have said 1000%.
1000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Yaiba makes a face when he says that. She doesn't say anything,
Yeah.
but you can see in her face she's like, "What? That's weird."
But like, even in the last episode, like Yua witnessed what a shitty person Guy is.
Yeah,
Because
and-
like she was right there with him when he was in the car saying like, yeah, I'm creating all these problems so I could sell Kamen Rider weaponry. And
That-
she's just like, yeah, okay, I'm
That's
so
the
cool with
thing.
that.
She witnesses him
Well,
be a terrible person
she's-
time and time again.
I will say
it-
she's not entirely cool with it. You can tell.
I know she isn't, but every time I'm like, okay, yeah, but this is the time when you fucking leave him. Okay,
Mhm.
this is the time, and it's never the fucking time.
It's never the moment.
And this one especially, I was like, she's not gonna do that. She's not gonna put the Zetsume Riser on a humor gear. She won't stoop that low. This is the fucking time. Spoiler
So-
alert! It fucking wasn't the time.
Okay, so she gets the Zetsume riser.
I have also written down a weird joke about not being gay.
Don't remember that.
So
We have that.
yeah, I know what happened. I remember this point very clearly. As
Okay,
they're
Nick says we'll get to that.
oh okay. Okay.
Yeah, so the fire drill competition basically has these different floors, right? And each floor is
Yeah.
filled with different
Oh.
survivors. And the basement is filled with a bunch of girls, and they call it the debris level. And I don't know, Zach, you want to like
Yeah.
comment on?
So they like show like the interior of the building, and all the girls are standing there and they're saying, "Help me!" And all of the male firefighters are like cheering,
Yeah,
and they're like super happy,
"Woo!"
like yeah. And then the next floor, is I don't know what the
It's the
what
fire
theme
floor.
was. It was the fire
Yeah.
floor. So
Yeah.
there's the fire floor, and then it's a bunch of guys, a
Yeah,
bunch of
Ames
men
dudes.
saying, help me," and then all of the firefighters like stop in their tracks and are like,
It was
"What?"
just a bunch
They're
of
like,
macho ass
"Ugh." Yeah, that's it too. I think it was a bunch of it was a bunch of
Ames,
Ames members.
Yeah, Ames.
yeah.
So they were just like buff dudes, and all the firefighters like stopped in their tracks and were like, "Ew, that's gross." And it's like why do you need this joke?
Yeah.
My favorite part of that was that Aruto was deeply involved in it.
Yeah, he was also cheering, right?
It was front and center in there, man.
It's like it was so unnecessary.
Dude, what's a lonely president supposed to do?
That was it was entertaining to say the least.
It was so weird.
was-
It was just like I don't see the reason for this to happen.
Dead silence after that
Like,
first
what are
floor.
they cheering for? Like, what does it matter if it's women or men? I don't understand.
It didn't matter
Uh,
to Ichichi Kyunosuke. He was
Yeah,
just
he
kinda
was
standing
just like straight faced the whole time.
there. So then the second floor of the building is just the VP and Shesta and his aide.
Oh, it is the second
That are
floor.
stuck
'cause it's the
there.
basement. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just the smoke floor is
Yeah.
populated by the Hedon vice president and his posse. That's it.
Classic.
Yes.
You gotta be involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They haven't been
Yeah.
in an episode in a few, so they had to.
No, and
show
actually,
up.
like one of the recently when we saw the vice president, like in the acting episode, like he was playing a corpse and he's using his like corpse acting
Oh yeah, in this
powers.
one.
Yeah.
That acting one was not recently, but yes.
Well, I mean, we haven't seen him that much, honestly. It was
No.
one of like the most recent times that we've seen him.
He's only been
Last
in a
time
last
couple
was,
scenes.
Last time
Yeah.
was the match place
that's true.
when he had no best match.
He failed to find
I
a match,
forgot about that. That's true. Yeah, he had no best match.
so he pretends to be a corpse, and I like that.
And Shesta's like cheering him on
Just
Yeah,
because she
Shesta's
has no
growing on
choice.
just is pretty good.
Shesta's great because she has the same thing as Izu, where everything is like straight face, but she also always sounds sarcastic whenever she says anything to the vice president, so it's just perfect.
well,
Yeah,
she's
like she
got
knows he's
good-
a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's not a good person to play off of to like
Yeah.
just put him down even more.
it's great.
So it works well.
She's just deadpan, and it's really funny. Yeah.
So the competition's underway, and the basement gets cleared by both teams, and they're kind of even. They each save the same amount of survivors,
They're tied, yeah.
and then they go in to deal with the second floor. And I think what was cool about the second floor is like the fire floor. When they were putting out the fire, it was actually like a hologram.
Yeah.
So
It
they're
was really
putting
cool
out-
technology. It was hologram fire and hologram water.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So basically, they're putting out the fake fire, and all the Ames guys are just shitty actors, being like, "Oh, help me!" Like, come on, can you like
Yeah.
at least act better?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the human firefighter is like, he's like all like not interested because they're guys, and he's just like giving them a hard time. Like, come on, man, like try harder. And Ichichi Kyunosuke is like actively trying to save them. He's like scanning the area. He's taking it seriously. It was
So in the
funny.
middle of all that, a raider attacks,
Of course.
and suddenly the fire drill turns into a real ass incident, and like a fire breaks out over there. Then we cut to Metsubo Jinrai, and actually Jin tells Hirobi that he's not, blindly following Arc, and he wants to free. He basically tells Hirobi that, I'm not gonna just like follow you anymore. I'm gonna do this on my own terms, but I'm gonna get your poison key back for you. We're gonna get your poison key back, and so they leave Metsubo Jinrai. And one of my favorite like moments is they walk out and Fua's there, and Jin just looks at him like, "Were you here the whole time, just waiting for him?"
Which absolutely Fuo was there the whole time waiting for them to leave. He probably had his tent and a little sleeping bag set up.
Some
Absolutely.
snackies.
Yeah, some
He was on a
snackies.
stakeout, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
absolutely.
sure.
He was waiting there as long as it takes.
So Jin walks up to Fua and he tells him, "Hey, I wasn't alone in freeing Horobi. There's someone like closer than you think that helped me." So we get another hint at the fourth Metsubo Jinrai member. And Fua gets pissed and goes to Salt Wolf and attacks Jin once more. We get to see Burning Falcon Jin's henshin sequence for the first time here.
Yeah.
And that's freaking awesome.
It was good.
It was pretty sick.
Slash rise. So okay, about that. So it's a slash riser.
Mhm.
It's like a shot riser, but it's a blade. But it
Yeah.
still kind of looks like a gun, but there's a blade on it.
Yeah.
It's
Which
kind
makes
of
me
just
think that
weird.
I think that maybe he did jack it from Zaya. Maybe it is like Zaya tech that he jacked, because he jacked the raid risers and he was giving them around, right? Was that?
Yeah,
I'm assuming that was Jin.
That was the faceless person.
It's
that's
definitely
true.
like jacked from somewhere, obviously, but it's just weird that it's like it still looks kind of like a gun, but it's a blade.
It is possible that it was jacked from like signs point to
Or
it
from
being stolen
Ames.
from Zaya / Ames, because it is similar technology, and we know that Zaya was providing Ames with
the shot
the shot
risers, right?
risers and everything. So it stands to reason that it came from Zaya. But we
Well,
don't
I
have
think,
we have
anyway.
like no confirmation of that at this point. Like nothing about Jin, like where his key comes from, his riser, his like nothing is confirmed. We don't know anything about why he's back and where he got all this stuff. We just know
Zaya
that it
doesn't
happened.
disclose anything either, so it's like, you
Yeah.
know, what do you do?
Yeah.
So basically, they clash, and I love it when those guys clash because they both look really cool in my opinion. But
The designs of things in this season are all pretty top notch
All S tier.
for the
Agreed.
most part.
I kind of am sick of Assault Wolf getting his ass beat because I love that form so much, but every time we've seen it recently, he just gets his ass beat.
I can't wait for Fua to get another upgrade.
It's only a matter of time.
I know there's one, and I saw it once, and I don't remember anything about it, but I know it's cool.
It's pretty cool.
I'm gonna miss Assault Wolf though. I love that form.
You know what? You're not gonna miss this.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Salt Wolf gets his ass defeated by Burning Falcon Jin once more, and once he dehensions, Jin and Hirobi ask him, like a defeated Fua, to hand over Hirobi's key because they assume Ames has it, but he says Ames doesn't have it, and basically points them towards Zaya.
Yeah, because
And
Zaya was the one who rebuilt Hirobi.
But
It wasn't Ames.
And we already know that that guy has it at this point. He used it against Shining Assault Hopper, Shining Hopper, one of the two.
Did he?
At one point, yeah,
Okay.
right before the Shining system, he like hit him with
Oh,
it,
okay.
put him into the wall,
Okay.
and then they activated the Shining system.
Gotcha. I didn't remember that.
I didn't remember that either. I thought that was Jin that was the last person that used it, but
No, he put it in his Jack Riser, and then the tail came out and.
I know that happens in this episode though.
Yeah, because he does
Yeah.
use it again
Mhm.
later on.
So while that's happening, the shit's really getting real in the firefighting competition, and everyone's now in the actually burning building.
Yeah.
And they're in danger.
It's
And
an
you would
actual
think that
real
they would-
rescue now.
Yeah, you would think they would call off the competition right away, but Guy's like
Guy fucking
more of-
sucks.
he's more of a dick now than he was
Yeah.
before. At least in the flower competition, he was like, "Oh, there's foul play. Okay, I'll be flexible about this."
Yeah.
But not this time around.
I think now he's just like fed up. He's just like, I want to win. Fuck it.
Yeah. Well, he also knows that he's getting his ass kicked like by Naruto now with that metal cluster key.
True.
Yeah, so maybe he's starting to unravel. Maybe
He ultra fucked up by giving him the metal cluster key.
Backfired.
Yeah.
So basically, in that floor, Ichikunosuke analyzes all the people and proceeds to help the ones that he can help right away. He identifies one person that's like has like no signs of life, is in like
Yeah.
pulmonary arrest.
Pulmonary arrest, yeah.
So basically, almost dead, and kind of ignores that person and focuses on the survivors that have like life signals. But Captain Homura, who's like on the floor, the human firefighter in the competition with the Zaya spec, he basically hears that Ichikunosuke's statement and says, "I'm not going to let that person die," and rushes to give them
He's-
CPR.
It's like, why didn't you say something sooner? And then rushes to help him.
So he's giving him CPR frantically, and he's got the Zaya spec like looking at him and like looking at his heart rate and everything. And then finally we get that guy like getting his heart pumping and breathing again. His vitals get restored, and they evacuate those survivors. And when they come out, Homura kind of lays into Ichichi Kinosuke saying, hey, you're not a real firefighter if you're not trying to save someone, even if they showed no sign of life at the scene. You can't give up on life that easily.
Yeah.
And I really liked that scene because you could see like Ichi whatever his name is, I can't say it, but Kinosuke
Yeah.
His like processing is going like crazy.
His
like
his Humigear learning is going
thinking,
off.
yeah.
He's learning. Yeah, there's
trying
like
to-
actually
he's
like a
trying to take
loading
it in.
bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a
and
loading
it's,
bar that
and it's
loads
going
up.
fast and
Yeah.
like so he's like taking it to heart.
He's taking it
So
in,
then
yeah.
then there's a couple of really bad Yua moments there. First is she wants to like help the Ames people that are injured, and Guy says, fuck those people, you're not with Ames anymore.
You don't
like,
work
leave
for
them
them.
alone.
Fuck you, guy.
And she
So
listens to
then
him.
she has to like stop assisting them.
She obviously does look like doesn't agree with him, but she still complies.
Yeah.
And then even worse, after Ichichi Kinosuke is like learning and he just got laid into by Captain Homura, Guy orders Yua to slap the Zetsume riser on him and make him go berserk.
And I'm sitting there like she's not gonna do it. This
The
is
worst
the time.
part, right, is Guy is inferring that that Kinosuke is about to go berserk when he's really not. Like, there's no indication that anything is wrong with him. He's straight up just trying to learn and figure out what's happening. And Guy's just like, no, he's gonna go berserk. Just do it.
I thought it was possible he could go berserk based when the firefighter was grilling into him.
I didn't, because you know what? Every time it's happened before, it was actually human malice, but that guy had absolutely no malice in him, and he was actually trying to teach Ichichi Kinosuke a lesson.
Yeah. He was mad, but not at like Humigear. He was mad that he didn't try to save. Kinosuke, like, he realized what was going on, which is why you saw him learning instead of getting like upset. He knew what was going on.
He understood what was happening. Like it wasn't like, oh, you're a piece of shit and I'm gonna lay into you because you're a freaking robot. It was like a, hey, you can't treat life that way kind of moment.
It was a learning moment, and he took it that way. And then, but Guy just forced it into this moment of, oh, if he doesn't want to save lives, then he's not a good Humigear. Better bust him up. And it's like, Guy, at least have a reason. Like, this is the lowest you've ever been, dude.
It's the lowest Yaiba's ever been to.
Yeah, true.
She actually freaking does it.
She slaps the Zetsume riser.
So disappointing.
Ichichi Kinosuke turns into the mammoth Magia.
Perez.
And Aruto freaking goes freezing bear mode to hold him back. Like, you've got access to so many things. He goes freezing bear.
He's done it every time. He first goes to the form that beat the Magia the first time he fought them.
But that was the breaking mammoth that beat it the first time, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. No, sorry, it was freezing bear. You're right.
It was bear.
It was freezing bear.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't been freezing bear, or whatever it's called, into yet. Well, Thouser was there, so he had to get that jack.
Yeah,
that's exactly what happened.
It's like, you can see behind the curtains, like, that's the story, like, that's how the story is progressing, but it's explained because he keeps trying to use the form that beat it previously. To be fair, it's not the first time he's done this exact thing.
That's true. He knows that that's the form that could beat it.
Yeah.
But I mean, at this point, he also knows that the metal cluster and the progress hopper blade can restore berserk Humigear, so why not just jump to that directly, you know?
Which, and then he gets jacked. Thouser tries to finish off the mammoth, and he's like, oh shit, no. He switches to the metal cluster, blocks the attack, reprograms him to
fix
normal.
Kinosuke, make him normal again. And that was a good little like sequence.
Mm-hmm.
But we know why it happened. It happened so that Thouser can jack that power.
Yeah.
And anyway, so Aruto comes in and like protects him and saves him and says, I basically take care of my employees. Izu comes in and informs Aruto and Ichichi Kinosuke that, hey, like, we rescued a bunch of people, but the VP and gang are still stuck on the second floor.
at this point they don't even realize, I think, that anything bad is going on. Like, this is the moment where they realize, like, oh, we're stuck.
They're like, wait, they're like, wait, this is real, isn't it? Like, yep.
Yeah, this is real smoke, isn't it? Yeah. So at this point, even though the competition really should be called off, Guy turns it into a winner-take-all competition by saying whoever saves the VP and gang win the competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, while they're doing that, I think Aruto runs off and chases the raider.
Yes. He chases the raider that attacked them. True.
That basically ties into episode 27. So that picks off.
Oh, right.
Up
There's two
exactly.
episodes.
Yeah. we actually ended this one with the winner take all scenario, and then we jump onto the second half of the two-parter in episode 27.
I think we can go right in. We've been talking as we go. So
yeah, let's go.
So episode 27 is called "I Will Not Give Up on Their Lives," and now it's like, screw the showdown. Lives are at stake here. That's like basically the line that Captain Homura says right at the beginning.
Yeah, he like gets ready to go and he's like, man, this competition's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
I think he says like, forget this competition or something. Like,
this competition,
he strictly just wants to save people because that's
that are
his
in
job,
real ass
that's
danger now.
the right thing to do is like save the people.
Yeah.
Regardless.
So the firefighters rush in to save the VP and gang, and then we get a report coming in from Zaya to Izu that tells our protagonists that, hey, we found out where the raider is that caused this incident. So Aruto runs after him. And meanwhile, in the burning building, the firefighters rush in, and so Ichiichi Kunosuke scans the area and finds out that there's actually no rescue path to get to the survivors. So they're just stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, 01's after the raider, and he's in Rising Hopper mode, which we've missed it. It's been so long. He's in a building and like he's kind of looking for the raider, and the raider's actually in another building, and he's a sniper type raider. So he's actually sniping 01 from a rooftop in an adjacent building. And Aruto getting shot at. He actually gets shot once and he's like, oh, that hurts. And he stops fucking around and he goes metal cluster mode, leaps from one building to the other, and just completely destroys the raider.
Yeah, they collide in both of their finishers.
Yeah, the something Belied.
Scouting Belied.
And the Prog Rising Strash. It's just that, Metal Cluster Hopper is way too strong. He's not going to get defeated by some random Raider of the Week.
No, never.
It creates an explosion and there's smoke and Aruto can't see anything. And we see we see the Raider. What were you going to say?
It gives him a chance to escape. He basically gets defeated and he's like, oh shit. And there's like a little bit of smoke which distracts Aruto enough that he can just kind of dip out of there.
Yeah.
Before he can get caught. We see him for an instant. He's just like this geeky looking dude.
Yeah.
But he kind of like left his Zaya spec behind. There's like a Zaya spec just like on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And Aruto picks it up. Then we snap back to the burning building and we see Shesta and the VP and gang, and they're just like, now they're like on the brink. Like Shesta's starting to malfunction.
Yeah,
she's just
overheating.
Like, she's overheating. She's disclosing information that she shouldn't be. And the VP's like, wait, don't
his browser or his purchase history. So good.
I think it was just like boxers or something.
Yeah, it wasn't anything too crazy, but it was still really funny.
He was just buying tomorrow's underwear.
Yeah, true.
And then downstairs, Ichiichi Kunosuke and Captain Homura are still trying to figure out what to do.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to get to them is to break through, but Captain Homura knows that that's too dangerous. And while this debate is happening outside the building, Fua shows up and gets briefed on the situation by Yua on what's going on. And he doesn't waste a minute. He just says, what the fuck are we doing out here then?
He's like, what the fuck? Yeah. He runs, grabs, pours water on himself. And he's like, dude, we're going in. Like,
yeah, grabs Yaiba, runs in.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, that's what happens, I think, right? Is he goes in and he tries to grab Yaiba first. And it's like, we got to go help. And then Guy's like, I don't think so. You don't work for Ames, blah, blah, blah. And then Yaiba's like all like sad, and then Fua's like, fuck that, and then he does the water, he grabs her, and they run into the building.
I love Fua.
Yeah,
that was an awesome Fua moment.
It's a good character moment. It shows who Fua is.
Fua's a hero. like through and
It is
through.
freaking awesome. I was wondering through that scene, like, you guys are fucking Kamen Riders though. How come you're not henching and going in there?
Yeah.
But whatever. It's fine.
It's
It's fine.
whatever.
We deal with it. Yeah.
It made for a good moment. It made
Yeah.
for a good moment.
It made for a good moment.
Absolutely.
And we also needed 3 people to go in there because there's 3 people to rescue. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Well, we needed 1 technically, but because there's already 2 in there.
yeah, that's true. But Ichiichi Kyunosuke, as we know, he decides to sacrifice himself as a human gear to make a path for Homura and company to get to the survivors.
Yeah.
Homura tries to convince him not to.
Yeah. It's very nice to see the human like actually try to stop the human gear. It's like, yeah, you can be, but that sucks, dude.
It's
You can be
it's
because
dangerous.
Ichiichi Kyunosuke is like, I can just be restored. It's fine, but he's like, that's too dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that.
The thing that Ichiichi Kyunosuke says that I think gets to Captain Homura too is saying, like, I'm doing this because of what you taught me. Like, you taught me not to give up on life that easily, that human life should be cherished. And that's why I'm going in there. And he's like burning up and he's holding up a piece of rubble.
Yeah, his
He's
skin's
walking in, he's on
melting.
fire.
Yeah.
He grabs the rubble that's blocking the door and is just holding it up as his skin is melting.
Yeah, it's a super heroic moment for
Yeah.
Ichiichi Kyunosuke.
And he opens up that path for Homura and now Yua and Fua to go in and save the VP and gang.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it in Captain Homura's face. Like, he's like, as a firefighter, he knows what it means to save a life and what it means to like put yourself out there. And he knows that Ichiichi Kyunosuke is like a real firefighter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they go in and they rescue. The 3 of them go in and rescue the remaining survivors in the building. And since Ichiichi Kyunosuke didn't make it out, Aruto's,
He's like, "Where's my
basically
bullets?"
congratulating Captain Homura outside, and Captain Homura's like, yeah, I didn't do it alone. Actually, before Aruto goes in, he gives the Zaya spec to Fua.
Oh yeah, I wanted to comment on that. How I thought it was really smart that he has a cloth that he's holding it with and pulls it out of his pocket with, so he doesn't get his fingerprints on it, and gives it to Fua like that. I just thought that was like a nice touch where they thought about like,
That's evidence.
yeah, it's evidence. Don't touch it. I think it's really cool of Aruto, and maybe shows how much he's been hanging out with Fua that he thought of that. Let's not touch it with my fingers.
It shows how much he's learning too.
Yeah.
We'll also get to it later, but I find it weird that Aruto can handle evidence better than Fua can.
Fua is just too mad to care.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. He's just too upset.
You don't control a key piece of evidence like that, my dude. Like, that was not like a good thing to do. Well, we'll get to that in a second, but like, Aruto was really smart about how he handled it.
Yeah.
Fua, not so much.
No.
But Aruto finds out that Ichiichi Kyunosuke didn't make it out and was still inside. He goes in, and Ichiichi Kyunosuke is still, the fire is like kind of put out and dealt with, and he's like all melted up, and he's still kind of like holding the piece of rubble, all burnt up.
Yaiba follows Aruto in, by the way.
She does. She witnesses all this happening.
Yeah.
And Aruto goes up to a destroyed, burnt up Ichiichi Kyunosuke, thanks him for his service, puts his hand on like a piping hot robot. And you hear
the sizzle of his skin.
The sizzling of his skin with him putting his hand on his shoulder, being like, thank you for your service. Picks up his piping hot robot carcass
And brings out the hero.
Carries him out of the building. And Yua asks him why he'd go so far for a robot that can be restored from a backup. And Aruto basically says he'd never leave his hardworking employees behind. So, Yaiba's been working for one CEO. Now you're seeing how the other CEO is. And there's a stark difference between the two.
One's a piece of shit. One's a good person.
One's a good guy.
So they go back to the Zaya office, and Guy's basically declaring victory in the jobs competition. Saying, yeah, we won. Okay, he carried out the survivors, and your guy didn't make it. But as they're about to wrap things up and Guy's about to walk away, Captain Homura steps in and says, wait a second. I didn't win this competition. I couldn't have done this without Ichiichi Kyunosuke. He won this round. And Guy's actually like turning around being like, you're like supporting a human gear. He's about to get pissed. And as if that wasn't enough, Fua then walks in. Actually, no, before Fua walks in, Yua, like Yaiba was going to like agree with Captain Homura. And she was like, I agree with that. And then Guy was like, I didn't ask.
Yeah, I didn't ask.
He didn't ask her. Yeah.
in the worst
Oh
way
my
possible.
god. Yeah, didn't ask your opinion. At which point Fua comes in and says, "How about my opinion then, bitch?"
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I scanned this fucking Zaya spec and it was one of your employees.
Yeah.
Who he already has in custody as well.
Yeah. He's like, oh, guy's like, I didn't ask you to do that. He's like, oh, I wanted to help.
He shows him the employee, and guy's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "What department do you work in?" Yeah, he doesn't even know who he is.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
department do you work in? I'm in
Yeah.
development. He's just like a programmer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he says that he stole one of the raid risers from the company. And up until this point, no one knew that Zaya was responsible for the raid risers.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows that Zaya is responsible for the raid risers.
yeah. I think this is where we find out that they made the raid risers and the shot risers.
Yeah, Guy has this like vision of the world where like everybody's armed. It's kind of like
Yeah.
America.
It's
Yeah.
oh well, and I guess like Zaya is an
Yeah.
American company, right? So
It is.
yeah,
Yeah. Guy wants to bestow raid risers on the whole population so that they can be armed to fight human gears at any moment. That's like for self-defense reasons,
yeah,
baby.
uh-huh.
Yeah. That's what it is.
That's exactly what he wants. Yeah,
And at this point is when Fua flashes the evidence and says, you're busted,
Yeah.
chief. And he shows him the key piece of evidence. And Guy's like, fuck that, I'm taking that evidence. The Zaya spec that belonged to the employee.
that incriminates me, a criminal.
So he enters, he turns into 1,000 and takes on Fua as Assault Wolf. And the other thing that's hilarious about this is Aruto just watches this happen and doesn't step in.
So I think the reason is that it's official Ames, like it's an official Ames arrest.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to interfere with the arrest, right? So that would be my reasoning. I think is that it's like supposed to be an official arrest, so he can't really step in and help Fua because he's not a cop, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't work out.
It feels bad because you're like, yeah, if Aruto stepped in, he would beat Bowser and everything would be done, but he like can't do that officially.
Because what winds up happening is Bowser kicks Assault Wolf's ass,
Yeah.
and the Zaya spec like gets knocked out of Fua's hands and like winds up on the floor, and Bowser stomps on it, destroying the key piece of evidence. Guy beats Fua, stomps on the key piece of evidence, so he's no longer incriminated because the Zaya spec is destroyed. He uses the poison key to defeat Fua, though. He puts the poison key in the 1,000 Jacker and does like the sting attack.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, now we remember that Jin wanted that key back, so he comes in and challenges Bowser as Burning Falcon. And that's a really cool fight, actually, because they're kind of neck and neck. Like Bowser and Burning Falcon Jin have a pretty cool fight, and they fight pretty evenly.
Can I say we didn't comment on the text-to-speech for Burning Falcon earlier? And I have
we did.
I have it written down here. It's the strongest wings bearing the fire of hell.
Pretty badass.
It's like the most metal thing I've ever heard.
It is super cool. Everything about Jin coming back is super cool because he was not that cool in the beginning. He was just kind of a baby, and now he's just awesome.
I know he's taking action, living for himself.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
He's just doing what he wants. He's free as a bird.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As free as a bird. Yeah.
So they fight.
Yeah.
And in a clash of finishers, so like there's the 1,000 Destruction and then Jin's finisher, which I don't remember exactly what it was.
Burning
but it was really
Rain.
Oh, that's also really cool.
Yeah.
Burning Rain and 1,000 Destruction, they clash. They push each other back, and Bowser actually drops the poison key in the process, like in the clash. And that's all Jin wanted, so he grabs that and he fucks off.
Yeah.
And Guy dehensions afterwards willingly, and basically just gives this round of the job competition to Hedon because it's obvious that Zaya cheated as fuck with with the reveal of the employee and the raider and all the bullshit that came to light. Like, he can't possibly win that round of the competition.
No.
But he's not going to jail. He destroyed the piece of evidence, so.
He's a criminal. He's just an actual criminal.
Yep.
War criminal, even.
But he's rich, so who cares?
Yeah.
Anyway, Jin gives Hirobi his key back, and then on the news, we get a clue as to what the next few episodes are going to be. So there's a proposal for Hidden Intelligence to rebuild Daybreak Town, and there's going to be a referendum to decide if that motion is going to go through or not. And there's going to be speeches that are going to be presented that's probably going to decide that outcome. And a speech showdown will ensue in the next jobs competition, which is the last one. That's the end of the episode.
Yeah, we end it with watching Naruto try to write a speech.
Yeah, he does like the most low energy Naruto Janaito we've ever seen.
The most unenthusiastic one in the entire series.
Meanwhile, Izu's as chipper as ever when she's just like following along with him. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The only note I had for this episode was the raider of the week was the scouting panda raider.
Yes.
And I think that was the worst looking raider that we've seen so far.
It was not great.
It also didn't get a lot of screen time though, so that's fine.
I like the sniping ability, but the suit is
Yeah,
it was not memorable really.
No.
Yeah. And then there's Jin's henshin, which is obviously really cool. You already mentioned the text to speech.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see more of Jin.
Same.
Yeah,
he's a much
cool.
better. He's a much better big bad than Guy.
Well, he's a much better character now than he was before too, so it makes watching him a lot better.
I was overjoyed when he got his gun back, actually. I don't know why, but
it's pretty cool.
Hirobi got his sword back and Jin got his gun back. That's all that matters.
They are complete.
They are complete. All right. Any last words that you guys want to say?
I'm good.
All good.
Well, then I'm gonna end it, I guess. Thanks everybody for watching. If you're watching live, we upload these episodes to YouTube every Sunday at 1 p.m. So you can go to EST. So you can go to YouTube, just search up A Giant Robot TV, and you will find my YouTube channel. Remember to go watch, like, comment, and subscribe. All of that stuff helps us so much. We really love doing this, so any kind of feedback is awesome. If you're watching on YouTube, you can watch us film this live on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/agiantrobot. It's easy to remember. And we film it live every Sunday at 5 p.m. EST. So come and join us. We love having people come in and watch. And yeah, thank you everybody once again for watching, sticking with us as we do this. It's so much fun, honestly. We have such a good time doing it. So everybody who watches, we just appreciate you so much.
Yep. And if you like our new intro that we started last episode, let us know. It's going to be the new intro going forward. If you like us having these backgrounds, I think we may do different backgrounds every week. We'll figure that out. Let us know if you like them.
Give us all of your suggestions in the comments, in the chat. We'll read everything. Absolutely. And with that, we will see everybody next week.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.